So, welcome to Pizza Cultura, part of Pizza Club. We are here, Peter, Tom, and I, to talking about pizza, poetry, and songs, which is a topic that I know that Peter cares so much about it. So, before we start, I think we should say that you should follow us as usual on every channel, YouTube, on your podcasting platform, so you can listen to all this fun conversation about all the weird thing about pizzas. So, well, we'll get back to the book later. This was just an introduction to break the ice. But Peter, I know that you really care about talking pizza as a main topic for poetry and songs. Do you?
Well, yes, I do, Pepe. I'm mainly intrigued by historical stuff and how that the history was recorded. So the theory would be, or at least the hope would be, was anything of historical value documented and recorded in songs or poetry, and do we still have it? And I'm looking for clues. So I'm looking for anything that would have a clue. And if it's in a song, so be it. Let's see, or let's hear the song. And I know that you probably have a book there by
Oh
Mr.
yeah, oh
Tommaso.
yeah, oh yeah. There it is. There it is. It's walking in front of the camera while we're talking.
Now, who wrote that, Pepe?
So Tommaso Esposito, this is a friend of mine. I mean, I know him. We go and eat pizza together, and he's a journalist. He's a doctor actually, so he's actually a freelance journalist. He was specialized in food. He contributes to a lot of guides. Historically, has done that, but he's a really great passionate about food history, especially Neapolitan food history. And he wrote this book, which is peculiar because it's all about how pizza is being represented in the songs, into the Neapolitan music through the centuries. And yes, I'm saying through the centuries because the first song, if I remember well, I just have to browse through the pages because I read this a while ago. The first song, wait, maybe it's in the back. But anyway, it's at least 3 centuries ago. It comes from the first score. It starts from the first score that he found until the most recent and most famous pizza song, which is called. You want to sing it, Tom?
Does he? No. Does he mention the song that I mentioned to you earlier? Is that in the book?
No, because the song that you mentioned has only a passage about the song, but these songs are specifically. I mean, they're not really specifically on pizza. So pizza, it is mentioned in these songs. But wait, you should say what was the song that we were talking about.
Just to clue people in, we were talking about the topic today, which, as Pepe has said, is kind of pizza in poetry and songs. And the only pizza related song or kind of lyrics in a song that I could think of is Napoli by Gigi D'Alessio and Lucio Dalla.
Say it again, because you wrote it well. Exactly.
With from the amazing Gigi D'Alessio, Gigi Finizio, Lucio Dalla. But that's the only one I could think of. And like Pepe said, it's like a half a verse where they talk about the pizza margherita and Regina and all that kind of stuff.
It's that song is amazing. I love it. By the way, Lucio Dalla is quite an outsider in that song because it's 3 Neapolitan singers, and Lucio Dalla is from Bologna. But Lucio Dalla is famous because he actually wrote a song in Neapolitan, which is I think it's worldwide famous, which is called Te voglio bene assai, which is sort of I wouldn't say an aria, but it's because he was sort of inspired by Caruso. In terms of
it was famous throughout Italy. It wasn't just Neapolitans who loved that song.
No, but
I'm pretty sure there were Northern Italians. Yeah, and there were Northern Italians who learned dialect just because of that song, basically. Yeah. Neapolitan language.
So to say he's an outsider it doesn't give him justice because he actually speaks in Italian. He's the only one really speaking in Italian in the song Napoli. But he does it with a passion and a sentiment, and I'm getting a bit carried away out of the topic. But it's a song that if you want to find it on YouTube, do it, because it's great. It's great modern Neapolitan music. It's sort of a modern classic. But anyway, back to this book. So this was written by Tommaso Esposito. He did a great research about historical songs that mention pizza, or were also not really focusing on pizza, but where pizza played a great part. And it's interesting because he sort of trace an historical line of how pizza was represented in our Neapolitan culture, because of course those songs were not really about pizza, but they were representing different sides of Naples at the time. So we're talking about from the 17th century till the 20th century. So you could have sort of an overview of how Naples evolved through the centuries in songs that mentioned the pizza, but there were songs where they were actually talking about couple relations, or just the daily life for the workmen, and so on and so on. So I don't specifically remember an example, because to be honest, many of these songs were actually really unknown to me. I mean, they're not the most famous Neapolitan songs ever. He really did a great historical research. So he went into the archive, he found the original score, and he actually also when he found the roots of the song, he also traced the line on when was the song first performed, in which festivals. Maybe one thing you might not know is that in the past, Naples was the venue of a very famous music festival, which was the Festival of Piedigrotta, where they celebrated the Holy Mary and whatever. And it was a great musical festival. It was very important to the Neapolitan people, but then I think it got cancelled possibly before the Second World War. I don't have the dates about that. But speaking of music festival, the last song of this book. So this book ends with the most famous songs ever written on pizza, which is called A Pizza, which was a song that was performed.
That'll make the people in New Haven happy.
Have you ever heard of this song, Tom?
No,
you might know it. I think that if I hum it or sing it, you might have heard it. It's the one that
I might know the melody.
It's the one that goes, "Ma tu voleva pizza, a pizza, a pizza, Yes, okay. This is pretty famous.
Yeah.
This has become the stereotypical Neapolitan song about pizza, and it was first.
And it's the one that is probably kind of tagged to Instagram posts. Some of the most frequently, or certainly.
I think that's one of them, the most popular, especially in Italy. And the great thing, we are in the right period to talk about this song, because this was presented originally at the Sanremo Festival. Let me double check which year again. So for people that don't know, the Sanremo Festival is the most important musical festival in Italy, which is a national show that happens once a year, and it's the show where everyone talks about.
Peppe is going to cringe at this comparison. It's kind of like Eurovision, but not awful.
But not awful. Well, that depends on the point of view.
I mean, I'd say Eurovision is in a kind of place of its own when it comes to the sheer horror. But
the winner of Sanremo are the one that goes
who go on to
Eurovision to represent Italy. The following year.
but at least Sanremo has some kind of seriousness and a little bit of kind of cultural cachet to it, whereas Eurovision is basically it's like a drinking game at this point. But anyway,
Eurovision only happens in one night, whereas the Sanremo Festival it happens in 1 week. And for who don't know, Sanremo is this town in the Liguria region, so that's where the Cinque Terre are, so the Italian Riviera, how's it called? And it's known especially because of the flower. They have this big production of flowers, so it's all around Sanremo. It's all around flowers and the festival. And for 1 week every year, the whole country stops just to watch this festival, and everyone talks just about that. So of course, at the time that this song came out on the festival was big, but not as big as it is today, because probably, I don't know, I think I was sort of 10 years old. I'm sorry because I'm browsing through the page of the book and I don't remember.
I just wanted to ask Peter something. So, is this when you're kind of compiling your historic research and stuff that you then pass through? Are songs and poetry a source that you have used, or it's something that remains relatively unexplored for you, or what's the skinny?
Well, to the extent that I have them, I want to translate them, but it's non-trivial to some of the poetry that I have, as I think you know, because I've sent you one of them, that it's
that was
not
how we
obvious
first
what
met.
they actually mean. But we do have a
Okay.
couple from the early 20th century that were created here in America, but they're in a weird Neapolitan-ish dialect that we couldn't sort of decipher totally. But we sort of know the context of it. We know who it's about. And as I say, any clue that we can get as to how things were, we have so few sources that literally any sentence, any scrap, any even phrase or word they use could mean something. So if we have it, it sort of behooves us to use it, but we just don't have a lot. So we just have 2 or 3 sources in terms of that. I'm not aware of any song that was in the early 20th century. The songs came, I think the earliest one that I know of was probably in the late 30s. So that's why Peppe in his book over there, actually it's not his book, it's Mr. Tommaso's.
Tommaso Esposito, yes.
So that was published in 2013?
Well, yeah, I mean, you remember better than me.
Well, I just found it online, so that's why I'm looking for a copy of it, Peppe. Or how could one, if our vast audience out there was intrigued by this book,
well, I think
do they have to go to Naples?
No, I think you can buy it on Amazon, but I think it's on Amazon Italy.
I checked.
And it's not
both.
on Amazon Italy?
My poor skills, I couldn't find it on Amazon.
Well, let me check for you.
And it doesn't have a preview in Google, and it's not under PDF, so I can't even get it bootlegged.
Well, indeed, of course, it's been published by a small publishing house that probably is from Naples. So not many people will have read this book. And by the way, look at the nice touch. Tommaso also included a CD.
I saw that. That's nice.
Yeah, this is nice, but I mean, at least this is a collection of all the historical songs in Naples. But then I have to say that U.S. quite caught us up from that, because there are so many American songs that are dedicated to pizza in modern times. I mean,
but they don't have the juice that you guys have. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the historical juice.
I will.
Peppe, okay. What I'm really asking you is, can you send me a translation of the best songs that I can use for my book? That's what I really want. Let's cut to the chase here. No. Just the pre-20th century. Maybe we'll agree upon a date. We can cut it off.
They're all pre-20th century. That's the thing.
Oh, no, I thought it went up to 1966, it said.
No, up to 1960s, but then the majority of the songs that were from previous century, before the 20th century. That's why it's a great historical research.
Okay.
I mean, I will have to read it again.
Maybe one a week? Yeah, that's not a lot to ask.
You see,
maybe at the beginning or at the end of our programming here, you can sing for us. That would be great, I think. I think that's only fair, Tom.
I have no idea how to sing the songs.
I'm down for that, yeah.
No, you can, we're not going to hide.
I told you. I mean, I can do my best, but I told you, you have to come to Naples and you have to meet Tommaso, because and the guy will have a lot in common and a lot to talk about. He's really passionate about pizza. If you go into his house, I think, I mean, I've never been into his house, but I talked to him through Zoom, and I've seen all the books and all the stuff that he has in his room, and he has even LP 45 players with even American songs about pizza and stuff. So stuff that he has collected through decades.
So I mean, he's full, knee deep in this. Then
he's hardcore.
Passing it. Yeah. But he's like Peter and Scott Wiener type.
Exactly.
Obsessive.
I mean, the people that know Tommaso in our small circle in Naples, we actually revere him because for the kind of knowledge that he has, and the historical knowledge, because he's also I don't even know how old he is, but I mean, he's way older than me. So he knows a lot, and he's really into the Neapolitan culture and food culture. So it's great. It's a joy to hear him speaking, believe me. And this is the kind of research that no one
And
would have
he
ever
lives
done.
he lives in Naples still.
He lives in Naples. Yes,
Yeah.
he lives in Naples.
Nice.
And it's great. I want to show you also another book. This is more recent and less historical, but I have this one called When the Cuisine Becomes Poetry. And it's been written by, well, I have to say, I don't know these two other guys, but Salvatore De Rinaldi is a pizzaiolo, and he's an AVP and pizzaiolo. And they have done these nice books with basically they wrote down poetry about food. And of course, there are also poetries about pizza, actually mostly about pizza, as you can see. And for example, there is one, let me see if I can find one. Well, there are so many poetries. Oh, there is the guy. He's Salvatore De Rinaldi. He's the pizzaiolo. And it's cool because at the end of the day, yes, you say, Peter, the historical Jews, but one day this book will become history. So there will be people maybe in 1 century that will read this poetry and will remind of us as a people, the Neapolitan people with a lot of theatrical passion, a lot of poetry in their mind, and they just write lyrics about the food. Think how passionate we are about food and pizza.
Just think, Peter, one day you will be part of pizza history yourself.
Well, I'll definitely know I'll be history.
It's a bit Inception-y.
Someday I'll be history.
Yeah. We will all be. Yeah.
Would you ever write a song about pizza?
Me?
Yeah.
Of course.
Poetry?
Why not? Yeah.
Have you ever tried?
I have not tried. No, I've not even thought to try. Actually, there's so much to do that I don't need. I don't need more distractions. That's the main thing. I need to focus. That's what my problem is.
Well, there is a guy that does it regularly. Let me see if I can find him because he's on Instagram. I think he's the guy, but I'm not sure because they have similar name. No, that's not the guy. There is a guy on Instagram. Tom, fills my void.
Go ahead, Peppe. Yeah, Peter, you could make a little pizza limerick or something as part of the prologue to your book. I'm not sure if that would lower the vibe, but might be a nice little touch. I am, of course, being a bit facetious, Peter. Don't worry. Although if this guy does bespoke ones, maybe you could include some. Sorry, he writes poetry or songs, Peppe?
So I found actually more than one profile of a pizza of guys writing poems about pizza. So there is this guy called the Pizza Laureate. I don't know how to pronounce
Laureate,
it.
Yeah, Laureate.
Laureate, yes. So if you open his profile, there are pictures with stuff on it, which I don't know if I would classify as poetry, but it's pretty peculiar. And there is also this article. These are all links that I saved. So I hate all this pop-up.
Original poetry composed for pizza lovers.
So I have this article on Gambit, NOLA.com. Pizza Poet Laureates, inspiring the next generation of poets one slice at a time. This is stuff, guys. This is stuff. It's an interview about this guy writing poetry on pizza. And then there was also another one that I don't remember what was his name. There was the profile of this guy that basically writes poetry about pizzas, and he also shape it in a graphic way, like sort of the graphic of a slice of pizza or whatever, this kind of things. But I still have to retrieve it. So please go ahead and talk while I'm doing my research. I should really come to this talk prepared, more prepared.
So Peter, what's no, it's fine, Pepe. It's low key. What's the time frame for your book? Like when do you have to have a first draft done by a certain time, or it's just whenever you're ready? Or
no, it should have been done 10 years ago, but
okay.
A decade slipped.
You don't have publishers kind of hounding you with
thank God.
Okay.
No. I do have an upcoming article that even doesn't have a deadline. So even that, if it's on the web, it's not going to be it doesn't really get held to anything. But
Okay.
No, it's. I mean, I didn't do it.
It's just a kind of magnum opus that you want to get out there, type thing.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of a scandal because I should have been ready for. I mean, it would have been a very good book, I think, if I would have published it 10 years ago. That no one would have really cared about, I think, because I think I would have written a book.
But then that's good that you've kind of pushed it off a bit, no? Because you're waiting until the market is at a fever pitch where they'll receive it more readily.
A fever pitch, yeah, that's a bit of a stretch, Tom. But yes, I mean, I think the classic thing that on a book like this, if you're not very, very, very careful, it can be a reference book that no one really cares about. Even I wouldn't really read the book. Like, I would have a tough time in reading a reference book like that, and I'm involved in it. So you kind of have to have a human focal point, what people will be intrigued by.
Yeah, the human interest element.
Yeah, and I'm not even convinced that people still read books. Like, here's a question. What percentage of the audience or the population out there above 15, say, actually reads a book a year? Just a book a year or more? I would think it's probably less than 10%. Yeah.
Of their own volition?
Not work related. Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking it's less than 10%. Because it's surely less than before. I would
assume that data is probably out there somewhere. And yeah, I think you're probably within the ballpark, which is a little bit sad. I mean, we were kind of talking about this before we came on. People can look at things on Kindle or online, and does that still count as reading a book because you're reading it in electronic format rather than actual, musky paper? But yeah, I don't know.
Well, if there's an audiobook, I want time to. I'm sorry.
No, I say maybe you should write poetry about pizza to make people come back and write a book. Give them something to read about.
Actually, Peppe, I think if we did poetry on pizza, it would be less than 0.1%. I think the numbers for that would be because no one does poetry anymore. I mean, who writes poetry?
I mean,
no one writes. I'm exaggerating, but no one is reading poetry.
But again, I think, and I don't want to go into the weeds too much in this, but I would say, as ever, it kind of hinges on how you define the term. I think poetry includes lyrics to songs,
not rap.
And
okay, fine.
Yeah, and whilst look, I mean, I will grumble and mumble with the best of them about this mumble rap nonsense that is kind of de rigueur these days, and modern music, and why I don't understand why. Actually, no, I'm not. I was going to say I don't understand why everyone loves a certain pop star, but I'm way too scared to say that because I've heard that this person's fans are pretty hardcore. But yeah, I mean, I still think the lyrics in most songs qualify as poetry, and there are a ton of independent, folksy, or punk rock or whatever, that are still writing some legit poetry.
I don't think we have you on the record, Tom. Do you like rap, or are you a fan, or no?
Yeah, I'm a fan of. I mean, I grew up on a kind of balance of.
That's what I thought.
Punk rock, heavy metal, and rap.
So I think you'd be the perfect type then to do a rap song about pizza.
No, I would not. No, I think I would want the earth to open.
You don't want to take that plunge?
No.
You're not ready for that?
Not really.
Peppe, aren't you shocked by that?
Well,
you would have to get me on a Trumpian level of uppers and Adderall and whatever in order to make me want to do that.
Well,
I see the red in your face is not conducive to the same.
So if you like the idea of pizza and rap, but then I can recommend you a great song and YouTube video which is called Home Slice, and it's been done by Crucial featuring Artisan Brian, who by the way is a pizza maker. And
where are they based? Sorry, in the States or in Italy?
In the States, yes.
Home Slice.
Okay. It's called Home Slice. Just check Crucial. Crucial is written KR3WCCIAL, and featuring Artisan Brian, who is a pizza maker. and you
Oh
can
yeah, I
see it.
know. I know of Artisan Brian because he's good friends with Sirhan and
Exactly,
guys that I'm
exactly.
friends with.
And did you know? Did
Oh,
you know that
awesome.
he participated in this
No,
rap
I'd
video
never
and
heard
song,
of this.
where he also has his own share of singing? You should have a look at it. Look it on
Very
YouTube, but
cool.
just write his name and the word "home slice," which is
I've
the
got
name of
him.
the song.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've found
It's pretty cool. It's a shame. It's a shame that video didn't get so many views, because the song is nice. The video is very well done. It has less than 10K. I think we should really push it to have
I mean,
more people
I'd
watching
be
it.
tempted to play it over the airwaves now, but we might get dinged for copyright or something. So we should
I
probably
mean,
clear it with
I
them.
don't think so.
Well,
I mean,
no, we'll
Well,
clear
you
it
could
with
I
them.
don't
show
think
it.
they went
Yeah.
mainstream or they copyrighted the song to some major. I think they might be happy to hear the song. So I should
But
say,
still, very
go
cool.
ahead.
I mean, look, it just shows that and I get, to your point, Peter, about whether there is a large enough receptive audience. I feel like pizza geekery is kind of, not even approaching its peak, but it's
Peak pizza?
huh?
Peak pizza? No.
No, no, but I feel like that it's spreading far and wide. Like even in the UK, the kind of general pizza IQ is on the up and up and up and up and up. On an upwards trend. In the US, people are getting more knowledgeable, more excited about the geekier side of things. And, I guess the pandemic played a big part in this because everyone started doing things at home and experimenting with making pizza themselves. And that was, a kind of gateway drug, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think and look, I think your point about injecting a bit of human interest into it is a very well taken one and a very, wise one. But I don't think anyone would just kind of dismiss a historical pizza work as, okay, this is just a reference book. I think there's enough of an audience that are down with that geekery that they'll lap
Exactly.
it up.
Consider that
That's not
everything
been
is
my
being
experience.
No, but the times they are changing, to quote Bob Dylan. So
Very good, Tom.
I mean, consider that everything is been already said and told about pizza. You could actually say something new. And, these little nuances, geeky thing, as Tom said, that can actually fascinate the people and say, "Oh, look, they were writing poetry and songs about pizza even 2 centuries ago. Who would not be fascinated about these stories?"
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I just find that I think there's a level of involvement that people are willing to commit to. They say they're intrigued. They might be. I think they need a sentence or a paragraph, and they're good.
So
they don't want to read a
attention span
chapter. They
problem.
don't want to read a book. They don't want to buy the book for it.
No,
Just a gut feeling of mine that I just in talking to people and in doing articles, you get a response, but it's about 1% of the audience out there who really cares.
You're not wrong that there is an attention span deficit that you need to take into account. But I do think there's a kind of bedrock of interest that would at least allow, like it might be a coffee table book, people just kind of, like if it has nice pictures, which again speaks to the visual element. But, there was a photo on, I think it was Colin's Instagram, Taste of New Haven, where it was Frank Pepe's from like the 40s or 50s or something. And there was a picture of someone in the window eating pizza with a knife and fork. And he was like, see, this proves, X, Y, Z.
Right.
And, the activity in that post was phenomenal. So I think, that there is, like I said, I think there's a sufficient baseline, a sufficient substrate of pizza geeks that would be very kind of receptive for that kind of content.
What I found, and this goes directly to the culture and everything that we should be talking about, I think people are attracted to, styles and who's got the best pizzeria and what's good here and what's not good in Naples, New York, Chicago, whatever. That they get, that they love. And I think there's also a substantial and increasing home baker community that wants to learn, all the technical stuff, and they love that because they want to be on their own with their style. Okay, that's great too. I think it's then a very big gap between those two things and the next or the fourth thing or the fifth thing, where history and the surrounding culture becomes prominent. I think there's a gap there. And I think you can have an Instagram account and maybe a little bit of Facebook or something like that. But beyond that, I don't think there's a huge passion. I think that's my responsibility to get the context right and to sort of shape how they view things. But I think it's a tall order. I don't think it's an easy thing that I can just say, this happened in America and people are really going to care about it. I don't think they really care about that unless you really get the context of the story right. So that's why I come back to, I think the way the story is told is hugely important, probably even more important than the underlying facts, which is a surprise to me, but it probably shouldn't be.
Fair point. I mean, ultimately you I guess you're just kind of looking to walk and chew gum at the same time, in that you have the historical facts that you're wanting to hit, but you also inject enough of the human element that it kind of carries over. But yeah, I'm sorry, just keeping an eye on time, guys. It's 5:02.
Tom, if I may, since we are about to wrap it up, I believe I would love to close this nice conversation and get back to the topic of pizza and poetry, reading that nice piece of poetry that is hanging on the wall of l'antica pizzeria da Michele in Naples, which is such a nice way to basically make a dissing on all the other pizzas and make a big celebration of margherita, of the margherita pizza, which, by the way, because l'antica pizzeria da Michele only said margherita and marinara. Of course, I'm going to read it in Neapolitan. I won't be able to translate it on the spot, but I'll do my best to put my passion into it. So the name is a margherita. A quando sto benessere, a gente pensa a spendere, e mo pure più povero o siente commannà. Voglio una pizza a vongole, piene funghetti e cozziche, con gamberetti e ostriche, e umare sta città. Al centro poi ci voglio nuovo fatta alla cocca, e con liquore stock la vita annaffià. Quando sentono st'ordine, ci viene canastizza, pensando ma sti pizza son papocchio che. Casa rispetta regola, facendo una vera pizza, quella che è nata a Napoli, quasi 100 anni fa, che sta ricetta antica si chiama margherita, che quando è fatta arte può ghinnanza nure. Perciò non ne cercate sti pizze complicate, che fanno male a sacca, lo stomaco patì. E che
Bravo. Sei troppo forte.
And
beautifully done.
Translation?
I will send it over
Peppe
to you.
will be posting the translation.
Oh, come on, you can't say that without the translation.
You want me to translate it on the spot?
Just
right
a little
now?
bit of like, what did you say? Like, no one can understand you except
that was the thing. It's a whole this thing about the fact that the habits of starting to put a lot of toppings over the pizza, whereas the one most precious thing, and it's the simplicity, which is the margherita, and it's the best pizza you could ever have, that satisfies your stomach, makes you happy, it doesn't hurt your wallet, and it can only be served to a king. That's the overall point.
I have one last question before we close down. Do they have a copy of that poem in all of their kind of satellite stores, or is it just in the original?
I believe so, but I'm not sure.
I didn't see it in New York, although I wasn't looking for it. But
I'm pretty sure they have a picture of Julia Roberts hanging in every wall of every pizzeria, but I'm not sure about the poetry.
I'll have a look in the one in London if I pass by sometime soon, or the one in New York when I'm back. But hopefully they do, because it's a nice touch.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my expression in my recital.
No, dude, that was the highlight for me. I enjoyed hearing you read that. That was beautiful.
Okay, that's a wrap.
And
Tom,
Peter, I'll post a translation for you, Peter. Okay.
Thank you.